So, hey everyone, what is going on? And today's a really exciting day for me because sometime last year I was searching on Craigslist and I found a vintage microphone for a stupidly good price, and I was curious why it was stupidly low. So I went out and met him and I talked to him and I found out why, but I knew the problem could be fixed. So I got it at a stupid deal of $40. This is an Electro-Voice 664. If I remember right, this came out in the late 50s, early 60s, and it is definitely something that if you were a drummer or an audio engineer, if you really hated someone, you could kill someone with this, because it's just pure, just a metal thick frame, but apparently they sound good. Now what was wrong with it? The cord was actually messed up. So I commissioned a friend, a good friend actually, to rewire it and or make a brand new cord for it, because these take a 4-pin XLR and they cost like $65 or more, and I wasn't gonna spend that quite yet if I know I could get this fixed. And I told him I didn't care how the cord looked as long as he got it working. Well, he decided that he could salvage the old cord hosing and connectors and just fix the internal wiring. And that made me really happy because this is also the original cord and all the original plugins. Now it does only have a 1/4-inch output. Luckily my Steinberg UR44 takes 3-pin XLR and a 1/4-inch. So I'm going to test this on a few sources: the snare, the bass drum, and actually the floor tom as well. I would try it on other things, but I don't have other things here. But I'm not going to do just this mic. We're going to compare it to an Electro-Voice Cobalt CO4 and an Electro-Voice RE320, which is the baby brother of the RE20. Don't ask me why I have 3 dynamic Electro-Voice mics. I just happen to have them, and these two sound good already. I wish I had like 4 of these so I could put one on the snare, the kick, and both of my toms, but they are around $300 a piece. So I only have one, but it's still a fantastic mic. And these you can find new for around like $90. You can find them used for like $40 or $50. It's basically Electro-Voice's version of the Shure SM57. And for me, personally, I like this one's sound characteristics a little bit more, and it's a lot more durable, as if you know Electro-Voice, they make their products to last. So I'm going to set everything up, and let's get started with the sound demos. And please listen to this on high quality studio monitors or a very good pair of headphones. Trust me, you will want to hear all the minute subtleties that these microphones have. So, my thoughts on this are intriguing, really, to say the least. That the EV 320 performed as expected. It gave the snare drum a nice, full, rich sound. You get the whole spectrum. It's a great mic. Again, I wish I had like 4 or 6 of them, because they can be used on everything. Floor tom, again, gave it that nice low growl, and kick drum is where it does shine by far the most. Now, I would place it differently, but wanted them all to be kind of near as close to the same spot on the kick drum as they were, so that was the hardest one to test, but it still came out fantastic. The Cobalt CO4 performed as I expected. It sounded great on snare. Taking out, well, it doesn't have a lot of the low end that the 320 has, but it still has a nice poppy, crackling snare sound, which is great. Floor toms, well, a floor tom, it doesn't sound as great. It would probably be okay on a rack tom. A floor tom, I would probably need to really EQ it and really work with it. And kick drum, I don't know why, but it just sounded horrible on bass drum. Again, it could have been the spot that it was at, but it just sounded horrid. Would not recommend it for bass drum. Now, the 664. This is 1960s technology. And it has a unique characteristic that's not good, that's not bad, it's different. It has a different sound to it. On snare drum, you get a very vintage vibe, actually, which you do lose a lot of that low end, but you get a lot more snare sound, which I could see that being paired up with like maybe the RE320 as a dual snare mic setup, and you could take the richness of that 320 with the snarey sound of the 664, combine them, and you have an awesome snare drum. Now, floor tom, it was complete rubbish. I wouldn't even put it near a floor tom ever again. Rack tom might be a different story. That's something I can experiment with, but the floor tom is just a complete no-go for it either. Now, this is where things get interesting. I've heard and have read that they sound good on bass drum. Now, it does sound good on bass drum, but not in the way that I thought it would. It's almost like it has a high pass filter on it, which honestly sounds really nice if you're needing a vintage kick, just quick, dry, not very much low end bass drum sound, or it would work perfectly paired up with a sub kick. Like, I really need to find a sub kick here, because that would just sound absolutely amazing with a sub kick. I'm just imagining it having the complete just low deep end of that sub kick with the already high passed basically 664, and maybe even shove it inside just to get a little bit more clicky sound. That could be a work of beauty. But the mic itself does give you a very vintage sound, which if you have seen any of my past drum covers or things before, you know that I do quite a few of these vintage songs, which is now intriguing me to go revisit some of them or look at doing some more, putting the 664 on bass drum, and then getting a ribbon as like an overhead or or a front kit mic, or just something to really capture a true vintage vibe. Because I think if I do it right, I could really get the nice classic, just non low-end kick thump with the more warm overall drum kit sound, and that would be like a classic, just Motown drum sound. It really would. So it's not good, it's not bad, it's a different sound, it's a completely different characteristic that, if used correctly, can sound really awesome. I would also be intrigued to try it on the bottom head of a snare drum and see how much snare wire snappiness you get from putting it on the bottom. But you could leave it on top and just run beside it another mic that's going to pick up a lot of the warm and richness and combine them. So it's definitely a mic that you can use in pairing with another mic to create an awesome sound, or you can use it to go for a really retro vintage type of sound. Now, I would sing, but I don't personally like my voice recorded. Hopefully I can experiment with it with a couple of vocalists. I've also got a bass, which I might try, which thinking at this point it's not going to sound good. And I will try more things, and as I find things, maybe I'll do an update and kind of say, hey, this sounds good on this, sounds great on this, but don't use it on this. I would say it's not something that you should be buying unless if that's the sound you're looking for. That's the thing. Don't buy one intending to have a great sounding mic, like a top line great sounding mic. That's not what this is. This is a mic that has a specific sound characteristic that you use for certain things. And when used for those certain things, it works beautifully. If you try using it for something that really it's not going to sound good on, hoping it's going to sound good, it's going to sound awful. So take it as you will. This was a fun experiment for me. I'm really happy I now have this working mic, and it will definitely be used a lot more. So keep on drumming.